Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Jackson. This is my spoiler review for The Boys Season 3, Episode 4. So The Boys is back again with another amazing episode. I am just loving this show on all fronts. Like, in every way, this show is just wowing, exciting, and amazing me. It is so gloriously perverse and horrifying, but yet hilarious and, I don't know, so emotional at times. It's really just doing everything right for me at this point. I'm so excited. This season could be my favorite. This episode does a couple of things where I'm like, I don't think I'm ever going to get sick of just like the perverse, real, worldy kind of applications of superhero stuff. Like the idea that we get a fight scene that is a superhero grabbing a closet full of dildo, like superhero themed dildos, and she just murders a bunch of people with it. And then she gets shot by one of like the presumably enslaved sex workers, because the guy seemed like an absolute creep and a monster, so I presume they weren't there like by choice. Like, I don't know, it's kind of implied, but she shoots Kimiko, and then Kimiko's like, I'm sick of this. The boys is really messed up, and this is really messing me up. I gotta get out of Dodge, man. And I'm just like, there's so much to unpack with that scene, and I mean, who knows? Maybe in season 5 I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it. It's perverse and it's gory, but it's superheroes in corporate America. I might get sick of it, but at this point, I'm just like, give it to me. I will lap it up all day long. Just so much fun, so much diabolical fun. If you would mind the pun, don't mind the pun. Speaking of Kimiko, she does the one thing you do not do in a series about like a one thing. Like you never say, I'm getting out of the thing the show's about. You know, like. If you're a cop, don't say you're leaving the force. If you're a doctor, don't say you're gonna quit. You know, if you're one of the boys, don't be like, I'm done with being one of the boys. Because as soon as she said that, I'm like, oh my god, like, is she gonna die? But then I'm like, I don't think they'll kill her. She's like the only female in the main cast. I'm like, oh my god, is that Frenchie's gonna die? That's crazy. You just signed your own death warrant, Frenchie. But no, then as like the episode kind of progressed and we got to the point where they're like, where's this Russian gun? This homeland and killing gun? And I'm just like, there's no gun. And then it suddenly dawned on me when I saw the big Captain America entombed casing of the box that kept him in the freezer, the big freezer for Soldier Boy. And I'm like, oh yes, Soldier Boy in present day. I cannot wait. I love Dean Winchester. I'm so excited to see him interplay with all the main characters in the cast. Like really, really excited. Like been excited for what feels like 2 years since they cast him. And finally we get this scene where he rocks up and he's like, I'm bloody Captain America, but the boys, so probably mean and maybe a racist. But it turns out he also might be this super evil Russian gun. But it's not like a gun, maybe like a laser beamy thing. And I was suddenly like, oh, this is such a horrible but clever way to kind of show that the gun will work by killing Kimiko. Like she's the only one that you can kill. She's the proper soup, you know, from birth, you know. She's had the compound V with her body for so long. And that was really horrifying. And of course, you know, Frenchie's there being like, don't laser beam me, Soldier Boy. And then Kimiko gets in the way, gets shot. But what surprised me was that she didn't kind of get like eviscerated or something that was kind of like, yeah, she's not coming back. But she seems to not be able to heal anymore. So I'm suddenly really curious is this laser beam power that they've kind of put into Soldier Boy, is this kind of like a power dampener? Power dampeners are some of the most terrifying kind of powers in a show where people have powers. Like, I remember the guy in Heroes that had it. It's so sad and horrible, the idea that you can take these people's powers away just like, you know, with your power. Like, it's such a scary, terrifying power. So I would really love if that is what's happened. And with the big laser beam, if you get hit by it, you lose your powers. And that would be really, really interesting. I mean, God forbid that happens to Homelander, because he's still easily my favorite, most horrifying, terrifying villain on TV right now. He's so good. It's also really funny for him to kind of take Gus Fring down a peg this episode, because Gus Fring was kind of like the big top tier villain in Breaking Bad years ago, and now he's in this show and he's like, I'm the big dog, and Homelander's like, no. You say powers, not powers and stuff, but no, I'm Superman. I got the powers. I'll laser beam you. I actually do have the power. And he kind of takes Gus Fring down a peg this episode, which I thought was a really crazy and interesting twist. Head Popper Lady is like, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna side with Homelander on this one, because actually, Gus Fring, you don't actually have any power. I'm the one protecting you. You're not protecting me. I pop people's heads. You're just some guy. And then Gus Fring has that scene where he's all like, oh, Homelander, you think I'm your daddy, but I don't give you any approval. You're a piece of shit. And he just like takes him down like 7 pegs, and he just kind of rips Homelander apart. But he's like, he's not even part of the company right now. He's like suspended or whatever. I was really confused. There was like one shot where Gus Fring's like walking out of the room, and I'm like, oh, we're holding on to this for just one too many seconds. Homelander's gonna come, like, snap his neck, throw him off the building. And at one point, he's like, oh, the view's really nice. He's like, you should see it from space. So I thought the scene would end with him lifting him up, taking him to space, and being like, you like the view, Gus Fring? See, it's a callback to the start of the scene. He drops him or whatever. But none of that happened. He just lets Gus Fring walk away. I don't really understand why he hasn't killed him at this point. It kind of feels like if you insult Homelander like that, he's just going to prove a point and kill you. Even if he doesn't do it in that room, cameras or whatever, so he does it secretly later. But I was a little confused by that. Gus Fring keeps being like, I have the power, but he doesn't have powers in this show with crazy evil people with powers, so I don't really understand why Homelander didn't kill him. That did confuse me. But speaking of Homelander killing people, we got a scene that I knew was happening. As soon as Harry Styles, the superhero, you know, Star-Spangled Boy, what's his name? Star Power, Starman, Star Dude, Star. It's gone. It doesn't matter. He's gone too. It just doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what his name was. I'm just going to refer to him as the Harry Styles, you know, pop star superhero guy. So Harry Styles guy, he just gets completely obliterated off screen. Legs ripped apart, head mushed in, just horrible stuff. And I knew as soon as he sided with Starlight and he's like, I'm on your side. We'll take down Homelander. I'm like, this guy's the new guy. So he's the guy who's going to get punished to teach them a lesson for conspiring and, you know, all banding together. But the way it happened really surprised me because I did kind of think A-Train was going to side with them. I thought, hey, that's all making sense. The Deep siding with Homelander. A-Train and the Deep have that fight. He's like punching him in the gills and he can't run anymore. But I feel like maybe because he can't run anymore, he's a little afraid to go against Homelander because really, when they all team up and do their big Justice League versus Superman kind of situation, the Injustice situation, that presumably is going to happen at the end of the season, at least they'll try to do it in some form. What is he actually going to do? He can't run fast. He can't, like, what's he going to do? He may as well side with the guy he thinks is going to win. So it does make sense, even though in the moment when they're all standing together and he's like giving the Harry Styles guy a look and I'm like, oh, the team's banding together, which is exciting. Although I am kind of glad that Homelander killed him just because it's like, Homelander is the most exciting, terrifying character in the show. Every scene he's in, I am like, physically kind of ill, and it's like really exciting, entertaining TV, but there's like a sickness lining my stomach where I'm just like, he's so unpleasant, he's so terrifying, he's such a mean, horrible man, but I also kind of feel like I understand him really well, like he's a really well-crafted, like, psychopath, and I don't know, I'm really enjoying how they're handling Homelander. The acting's exceptional, it's powerful stuff, and the way he just kind of can command a scene, and you don't know when he's going to snap. And he snapped off screen and killed Harry Styles Boy, which was way earlier than I thought was going to happen, even though I wasn't surprised that it happened. It's a frenzy of people taking shots of V. Butcher does it again, and at one point he looks like a junkie, like tying up his arm and shooting it up, and Huey's like, oh, give me some of that sweet, sweet heroin. I mean, Combat V. I mean, oh, just give it to me. And it's like kind of terrifying, and that shot of him kind of like flexing his once broken arm and kind of enjoying that power. So I think it's been one of those classic ultimate power corrupts ultimately, and I think I said that right. You know the quote. And it's kind of exciting, but also kind of terrifying. They've been so outmanned and outmatched to these superheroes. And to have them finally have powers, like Huey's got the power to teleport and also super strength. I feel like a lot of these characters have like a power and then they're just like, and also super strength. Because if you could teleport, oh, actually, maybe he teleported through the guy to punch the arm. I'd actually have to rewatch that to double check. But it kind of seemed like he had superpowers and like super strength as well. Which is kind of a really fun power. It's a classic boys power where he's like, I'm over here, and he's over there. But also he's nude. Oh, Huey, good powers, but your dick's out. Get some pants on. So some classic the boys humor there. What I did find really interesting though with Butcher, just like souping up again with his sweet shot of V for the day, is that he got the same power. I kind of presumed that it might be like you'd get a different power each time to kind of, I don't know, shake it up, mix it up, make it exciting, and also sometimes they'd shoot it up and suddenly, you know, just his hair grows really long and he's like, that's not a good power. But then the hair's all like, I've got a mind of my own, and it's all slapping about doing that Inhumans thingy or whatever. Because then maybe you could have Butcher be like, I'm going up against Homelander. He shoots up the V and then he's just like a little baby. And he's got like the mind of Butcher but in a baby, you know, it's like Boss Baby or whatever. Or he takes the V and he just turns into a big puddle of water. And they're like, Butcher. And he's like, oh God, I'm just I'm just a giant puddle of water. I can't do anything. He has to wait 24 hours just on the ground. You know, like there's a lot of fun, crazy things you could kind of do if the Compound V kind of was made them different powers each time. But I guess for the simplicity of the story, to not kind of overcomplicate it, they're like, well, he wants to go up against Homelander, so he was very, very convenient and lucky. Very, very lucky. He just got Homelander's powers. Like, can you imagine? He's like, I'm going to go up against Homelander. Shoots out the V, puddle of water. Or just, you know, just like a weird power where he's like, you know, like the Deep, where he's like, he just gets gills. He's like, well, I guess I can go underwater now and I can talk to an octopus and it can egg me on while I have sex, and then maybe I'll have to tragically eat it. That was probably the most heartbreaking scene of the show so far. Like, R.I.P. Timothy. Just horror. A horror show of a scene. Homelander he's just the worst. I love how this show is just like, you're gonna feel really sorry for the Deep, like, a lot. Even though he's an idiot and a sex pest and a stupid cult guy, but I guess he's out of the cult now, so that's good for him. But I love that they make you feel sympathy for the unsympathetic. It's great stuff. But yeah, Butcher, super lucky. He's like, I just happened to get Homelander's power. So he's laser beaming people with his yellow laser beams, getting shot. Huey can teleport everywhere. Mother's Milk and Frenchie seem to be like, no, don't take Compound V. But I don't know. It's like, you say that, and then like 5 seconds later, Soldier Boy's like, I'm back, baby. So Mother's Milk's gonna be like, hey, you know how last episode I was creating some forced tension for story because that's a TV show and I, you know, need to have tension between the team. We can't have it all fun daisies all the time and, you know, jumping around, you know, hugging each other. It's gotta have some tension. But now, no, give me the V. I want to kill Soldier Boy because he sucks. Miss Congress, head popper lady, she's like, hey, daughter, you've got to protect yourself against Homelander. So I'm just gonna shoot you up with, like, full V, like, old school original recipe V, the blue one, not this green 24-hour 7, just 24-hour one, get rid of the 7, shoots it up into her, and then like her back starts contorting and doing stuff, and for a second I'm like, oh no, oh, what's she done? So horrifying and terrifying because I thought maybe she was going to contort into some kind of, you know, mutant-esque kind of thing, like her back would get really big, maybe even turn into like The Thing or something like that. Something kind of big and grotesque, because it seemed to kind of be bubbling up and mutating her body and kind of turning her like into something else. It didn't seem to be the case. I guess it just really, really hurts when you put it in, which makes sense. It's totally changing your DNA and all that stuff. But I think that would be a really interesting and clever choice for her to do this to protect her, because she's got a head popping power. Great power, top tier power. You can kill lots of people and stuff, and, you know, you can protect yourself. And then if she gave it to her daughter and it just kind of made her, you know, like a big slime monster where she's all just like, and she's like, no, but now I'm a child, but I look ugly, and, you know, she's going to have to deal with that in high school and stuff, or maybe she can't go outside anymore, or some kind of horrible side effect to kind of teach her being like, hey, someone did this to you as a kid, and it's awful, but you kind of got, like, the best power you could want, like, head popping power, it's top tier power, man, like, that's such an OP power. Like, I think her daughter should get a really bad power. I think that would balance the odds in the family. Or maybe it's genetic. Like, maybe families get good powers, and in some families, they all just get little shitty powers. So maybe that's how it works. So Soldier Boy is back finally, and he's been encased in his big freezer tomb, you know, thingy for a while. So he's grown out his beard. And I love a beard. I'm a big supporter of men and their beards. But I gotta say, he needs to shave that beard right down. Like, I don't know, Dean Winchester just has just either no beard or just like a tight beard, or just that, you know, 5 o'clock shadow kind of look. Yeah, because he looks great. I mean, he looks great. I mean, the only bad part about this episode is that we didn't get to see Dean Winchester's dick. Cowards! Show me his dick! Show me that man's penis. I demand it. But yeah, I just feel like the beard is like a bit too bushy. So I think we're probably going to get an episode where he's all like, I'm out of time, I'm out of touch. You know, like that scene in Captain America where he's running through Times Square and he's like, what's going on? There's so much color and sound. Where's my steak and milk? Or whatever, I don't know, or another 40s reference or whatever. You know what I'm saying. But, you know, he'll go through that with the boys, so he'll probably walk past someone and be like, what's with this something racist slur or something horrendous, because he was from the 40s or whatever. But then he'll shave the beard and be like, nah, now I'm a badass. Oh, speaking, last thing about the boys. We start this episode with some of the most pure Dean Winchester I've ever seen. And by Dean, I mean Soldier Boy. But he's just like, sweet, sweet talking, singing, oh yeah. But there's just that waddle. And that little kind of like he wasn't like, I'm singing, bow, bow. He was just like, I'm singing, oh yeah, I'm singing. And then seeing Mother's Milk be like, oh, I hate this guy. Oh, just utterly delightful stuff. And by utterly delightful, I mean a mixture of emotions, because by God, I love that actor, but he's going to be the worst man that ever lived. Like, I feel like most of the characters in this show. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment below. I would love to know what everyone thought of episode 4 of The Boys.